comes from Australian Online News. Miss World Australia winner Esma Voloder has helped create a new manga-inspired superhero to combat schoolyard bullying in the lead up to National Bullying Prevention Week. Esma, hello, talk me through this new superhero and how he's going to help fight the issue of bullying.
Oh, we are so excited to have finally launched Hero. We've been working on him for some time with Bully Zero, and essentially it started with the lacking of a mascot or a symbol in Australia that represents anti-bullying. So I joined Bully Zero in 2013 as an ambassador and started working for them in 2019. And part of that job included, making those connections and having a PR role and deciding what were we going to do to get more Australians on board to help make Australia a bully-free zone. What would appeal to the kids? What's going to serve as a reminder? What will touch the hearts? What resonates with others? Having grown up on anime and falling in love with the cartoons, because you'll often find in the storylines the hero could just be an everyday kid at school that stands up for the right thing, to the superpower ability of people who are kind of a little bit out of this world, who still rise up to whatever challenge, doesn't matter the situation or circumstance. So we wanted a character to reflect and embody and resonate with people, with kids, someone who could just be the everyday 16-year-old, which Hero really is. And we sat down with the guys from Oz Comic Con, who we were partnering with as part of the convention, which got cancelled in 2020. But we partnered with them to raise funds for Bully Zero because Hide, a good friend of mine who worked with them, was very passionate about Bully Zero and the work he'd seen us do throughout the years following my journey. And they have mascots of their own. And I sat down and I just thought, wow, why don't we create one for Bully Zero? And you guys can be a part of it. And thus Hero was created. I worked with the design team and co-designed it with Homi. And eventually we came up with Hero, who represents Bully Zero, anti-bullying, and stems from the creation of the anime world from Oz Comic Con. Hero has a teleporter on his arm. So as we know, bullying occurs both online and offline. So we need someone to be able to tackle the issues that are going on in the virtual world and also in the present world. He has a shield, which he has no weapons. He only has a shield, which defends people physically. So he can only defend himself, and also deflects verbal bullying, which is one of the most common forms of bullying. And he's got lightning speed boots, which means he can travel at lightning speed to get to any altercation, any bullying situations that's occurring in no time.
And you're quite a good drawer yourself. What did you have? What role did you have in the creative process?
More of a co-design role. I cannot take any credit for the actual drawing of Hero because I don't have any graphic skills, unfortunately. My dream was to be a cartoonist when I was younger, but I took a different path. So I would send in the inspiration photos and get a mock-up, and then I would print out the mock-up and draw over using whatever skills I had, just drawing over the image. So the hair in particular, because I did have an idea of what I thought Hero could look like. And it's just so beautiful and a little emotional to see a character that's in my heart, that's been in my heart, come onto paper.
Why did you get involved with Bully Zero? Have you had any of your own personal experiences?
Oh, I think there's multiple stories we've all had, and some that we've even forgotten, actually. So only recently did I remember my earliest memory of bullying, which was being pushed up against a fence and nearly losing consciousness, probably when I was in grade 2 or 3. And I didn't go to school the next day. I was heavily traumatized. And I didn't realize that later in my life, things like claustrophobia or not being able to breathe and being in confined spaces, like these were issues that came up later on in my life. And then I could trace it back down to that particular moment. And then going to school and wanting to fit in was really difficult. So if you weren't like everyone else, you'd get bullied for the things that you liked if they weren't popular, if you weren't, girly enough, or if you didn't do what everyone else was doing. My brother got bullied in school as well, primary school and high school. I stood up to his bully in primary school, walked up all the way to the oval, was a bit emotional and said, "Hey, that's my brother. You can't touch my brother." And I was always someone who would be vocal about what I was going through, even if it took me a long time to get there, like particularly in year 11 when I was bullied by a guy. It was the first time I was really bullied consistently by a male. And I found that really confronting because, I didn't feel like I was pretty enough. I didn't feel like I was deserving of the things that I was achieving in my life.
In 2017, when you won Miss World Australia, you were attacked because of your Muslim faith. And we also had the Manchester Arena bombing and the London Bridge attack that year. Who was criticising you, and how did you deal with it?
Well, I suppose during the reign, when I woke up in the morning to headlines such as Muslim Miss World Australia wins, and people were commenting about me and my faith and how could I believe in such a thing. But in the end of the day, I sent a message out there that actually comes from the Quran, which is about forgiveness. So each and every verse in the Quran starts with Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, which means from the most gracious and the most merciful, which is the foundations of humanity and faith, is understanding that we are imperfect beings. And I feel that the message of Islam and the true essence of what it is has been lost because people have changed and have imposed their own views and their own assumptions and projected that onto others without doing their actual research. So even myself, having grown up with the Quran, I'd only ever really started reading it in detail and analyzing it and looking at it with an open mind at the age of 24. And I had to debunk a lot of the beliefs that I held that weren't true. So I thought to myself, as I began this journey and still maintained my faith in Allah and the spiritual concepts of forgiveness and the afterlife and our purpose and why we're here, the ultimate message was to spread goodness, to uphold the truth, and to eradicate tyranny, oppression. And as the Quran says, there is no compulsion in religion. So when I started learning about the Quran in detail and the verses, I couldn't see it anywhere in what the most of the media headlines would project. And I just found it to be quite sad.
Do you think enough is being done to combat cyberbullying?
Well, more is happening than it ever has before. So reporting online cyberbullying can be done by the government body e-Safety Commissioner. So when we do our bullying prevention programs, we educate students, parents, teachers and staff on how you can actually report that bullying and make sure that, IP addresses can be tracked down if things get really serious. More is being done, but during COVID, we had a 50% increase in cyberbullying. So in terms of assessing the impact that these, strategies have had in place, I haven't really heard of any great research being done to put it all together up until 2020, because when I do my research, a lot of it's quite old in terms of the impact of cyberbullying. But we do know that it increased by 50%. We do know there's more ways that you can combat it. And as an organization delivering our programs, we are there to help provide support, point the students and everyone who engages in the programs in the right direction about what they can do. We've got the resilience program, which I had created myself because I think it's important to not only stop bullying, but if you're being bullied, know how to manage the emotions and deal with it and what can be done. So through these avenues, we just direct everyone as to where they can get help. And we encourage anyone to go to Beyond Blue, to the police, whatever they may need to do after talking to someone and figuring out what they need to do to protect themselves, and also not be a bystander. So if you see online bullying happening, you can report it, you can screenshot it, you can report it to the social media site.
You come from a family of bravery. Tell me about the story of your parents fleeing the Bosnian War.
Oh yeah, so it wasn't also until very recently that we had the discussion about how it really all happened. So I knew that my parents came to Australia with no English and no money. They were living with my dad's mum at the time until they got on their feet. But essentially, my mum was studying in the city. She's from a village called Gračanica, and my dad is from Sarajevo, the capital. And at the time, my mum said that it was such a beautiful, safe country. Like, you barely ever heard of bad things happening in the media. And it wasn't until you notice little things like the store supplies being depleted and basic necessities were harder to get, and soldiers appearing on the streets very randomly, and sort of tanks and whatnot surrounding the country. And then the talks began, and some people believed it, some people didn't. But my dad he's a really interesting man. He loves philosophy. He studied history, very open-minded person, very loving, caring, and protective, sometimes too protective, but very protective. And when he was with my mother, she was pregnant with me. And as the talks began, it was something he just couldn't afford to risk. And when he saw these mass movements and riots and protests, he just could sense the unsafety, and he made plans to leave the city. and they were stopped and asked for registration papers, but my dad had spoken to someone in our language and my mum said she barely heard, and they let them go, they let them pass. And she said she was so scared that her knees nearly buckled because she was in so much fear she had to leave like my dad did. Everyone was left behind in terms of family. Majority of people stayed. And he was just thinking about her safety and my safety at the time. Eventually got to the Croatian border, made their way through in their own ways, went to Austria. I was born in a refugee camp. They were kicked out of their refugee camp when I was born because I wasn't registered. I'm 28. My mum was 21. I couldn't imagine it happening at such a young age. So yeah, like they've been my inspiration my whole entire life. They've been my inspiration, and I'm very blessed to be where I am today.
You're a great role model, and National Bullying Prevention Week is coming up. How can people get involved and help out?
You can go online. So we have National Bullying Prevention Week from the 16th to the 20th of November. Some exciting activities, including SuperHiro Wednesday, where we're encouraging students to go to school dressed up as their favourite superheroes. I might ring up a friend who has some superhero costumes that I might try and get on for the day as well. So please feel free to, everyone that's watching or listening, dress up as your favourite superhero. Put your hashtags on, help raise funds for Bully Zero and awareness. We've got some keynote speakers from the corporate and academic sectors that will be talking on our No Harm conference, which is a 3-day conference you can buy tickets for online. And Yelena Dokic is our special guest speaker, and she'll be talking about her personal experience in her sports career and how bullying has affected her. And she's a really great example of resilience and optimism. And then we have Busk for Change, where all the musicians and artists can, use their skills to promote the message of anti-bullying. And you can donate and raise funds. It's all on the website. So just head to bullyzero.com and you'll find all the information there, and would love to have you all a part of it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Esma, and good luck with the week and everything you have planned.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely day.